Welcome to Tree Dog Tuesday, only on the Fueled by Joy Working Dog Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Wade Graskowitz here, owner of Joy Pet Foods here in Illinois. Just want to reach out today and first of all, thank everybody that supports Joy Dog Food. We appreciate everything that every single customer for Joy does for us. We're still a small, family-owned pet food company, USA-made products, born and raised right here. Another reason I wanted to jump on here today is hunting season's in full swing, and this time of the year, you'll learn that, and I did too, if you start seeing your dog with no stamina, no energy, weight loss, issues with the hair and the coat, and after 2 or 3 days, your dog just doesn't want to come out of the dog box. Guys, there's an issue. And I just want to challenge you guys, if you're not feeding Joy Dog Food, give us a try. I'm very confident that if you give us a try and you're feeding a product that you're not satisfied with or your dog's not satisfied with, once you try Joy Dog Food, you will not switch back. You won't. And if something happens and you're having issues, please pick up the phone and call 1-800-245-4125 and personally ask for me, Wade Graskowitz, the owner. And again, thank you very much for your support of Joy Dog Food.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tree Dog Tuesday. We have a good one for you today. We are talking hunter numbers. This is going to be a lead up into a video that I've been working on for a while for cane string. And it's an interesting topic. We have discussed all kinds of things on this podcast as it refers to, and we're talking small game today. We're talking mostly coon hunting with hounds, other hound sports, coyote hounds, beagles, things like that. And I have been on record as to say that the sport, my sport, hunting with hounds, is thriving. And I stand by that. I really do. I think the sport is in a good spot. We're doing a lot of great things. Is it the same as it was 45 years ago, 35 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago? No, it's not even the same as it was 5 years ago. It is evolving at a rapid, rapid, rapid pace. Does that mean that it is dying? You hear that all the time. Sports dying, sports dying, sports dying. It's a dying sport. And no, the sport is doing just fine as a whole. But there are areas that are troublesome. How hunters are viewed, how raccoon hunters are viewed, is troublesome. The lack of pleasure hunters and the sheer downfall of pleasure hunters, as far as just pure numbers, is troublesome as well. Now, I have a decent theory as to why that is. A lot of it is just changing dynamics, especially in the Midwest and Southeast, where a vast majority of coon hunts are held and coon hunting is done. But today we are just talking numbers, and not just raccoon hunting numbers, but we are talking small game numbers overall. And here's what I consider small game: squirrel, rabbits, pheasants, quail, raccoons, pretty much anything but white-tailed deer and bear, and then western game, most western game. So we're talking pretty much everything but deer hunting. And so, yes, and I've got some numbers for you, and I think they are quite surprising. And so let's get into it. When we're talking about hunter numbers, as far as a small game goes, you're looking, and I'm going to go during my lifetime. My lifetime, I turned 45 years old about 2 weeks ago. Born July 31st, 1980. And the year I was born, hunting license sales in the United States peaked reaching 17 million people. Now, when I was young in 1980, there were not a lot of white-tailed deer in the Midwest. So a very good portion of hunting license sales were for small game, and squirrel, rabbit, quail, pheasant. I'm just talking about my home state of Missouri, especially the northern Missouri part, north of I-70. Everybody had a bird dog. Everybody had a coonhound. If you were an outdoorsman, you used dogs a lot. Turkey hunting was not even a thing hardly in 1980. It was not super popular. Deer hunting was just becoming super popular. And that's another thing that I wouldn't consider small game is turkey hunting. Turkeys, I don't know what I guess they're kind of small. I don't know, 20 pounds, that's pretty small. But let's just, for the sake of argument, talk everything but white-tailed deer and turkeys. And this is a Midwestern perspective. Okay, let's get that out there right now. This is not well in Louisiana or well in West Virginia or well in California. This is a Midwest perspective. And so 15 or 17 million. Okay. Fast forward to today, 2025. I think the last count was 15.7 million license holders. It's a lot. Almost 16 million is a lot of people. And you think, well, is that really a huge downfall? Is that a giant fall from grace? Um, yeah, it's pretty big. Considering, let me pull up my numbers here. Considering that the U.S. population in 1980 was 226 million people, in 2024 it was 334 million people. So the population rose around 33%, and the number of hunters dropped by 5%. So when you think of it in perspective as the number of people in the United States versus the number of people with the hunting license, you see that the numbers have dropped considerably. Okay. So why is that? Now we are going to do a deep, deep, deep dive on this on Cane Stream. And you're thinking, Josh, what does this have to do with tree dogs? I know. Bear with me. I'm going to come to a point here eventually. And so a 1 million person drop, shade over in 45 years doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider that the population has increased by over 100 million at that time, the percentage of hunters in the United States have dropped considerably. And I just put a post on Cane Stream Media's YouTube channel about why people quit. Because, I've quit doing a lot of stuff. I don't rabbit hunt anymore. When I was 15, 16 years old, I had beagles. I love doing that. I don't bird hunt hardly at all anymore. If I do, I'm going with a buddy. I don't deer hunt at all. Not even one iota. My son does. I lost a bet to him this year. I've got to actually go hunting with him twice, which sucks. I do not enjoy deer hunting. If I could do it with dogs, I probably wouldn't hate it. But they don't do anything for me. And I used to love it. Man, we had a bow shop. I hunted 4 or 5 days a week, all deer season long. But as I became adult, I grew out of childish things. That's what I always tell my son. He gets mad at me. But used to waterfowl hunt really hard. I still go once or twice a year. I love early teal here in Missouri. Weather's nice. Get out, see the sunrise. Birds are fast. They're fun to shoot at. They're good to eat. But when it gets cold during regular duck, I ain't sitting out there freezing to death anymore. I used to. Man, we went Texas to South Dakota one year. We chased snow geese all spring. We did all those things, and it was a phase I went through, and then didn't enjoy it anymore. It got to where I remember when too. We were setting out a snow goose spread, and I think we sat there for 3 days with 1,000 full bodies, something like that. No, we had 600 full bodies, another 500 silo socks, a couple rotaries, the whole kit and caboodle. That would have been in 2008, 9, 10, somewhere around in there, maybe even after that. And we shot like 15 birds in 2 days, and we just watched goose after goose fly over. We shot in Mountain City. There were spreads everywhere. It was miserable. I'm thinking, this is dumb. What am I doing out here? It took us 6 hours to set all this up. We hunted over 3 days, and if we gave one bird to everybody, we would still be a man short, I think, considering all the people that hunted with us those 3 days. Got to see thousands of them, tens of thousands. Wasn't fun. The bird hunting, I still love, especially quail, but it's hard for me. You figure last night I got in about 2 or 3 in the morning. Uh, Two small kids. I don't get up to go pheasant quail hunting anymore. It's a deal where you're walking a lot. The dogs are a lot of work. I can't do anything halfway. Not only do I have to have, you know, the right dogs, I got to have really good dogs, and that's a lot of effort. I don't keep a Labrador anymore. I don't train retrievers anymore. I don't do any of that. I just coon hunt. I'm a coon hunter. That's what I've always done. When I was young, I sprinkled all this stuff in together. I can't do it anymore. Don't want to do it anymore. And so I quit all those other things, but I didn't quit hunting completely. And so when I look at these numbers, and the drop of hunting license sales as opposed to population, it's got to be people quitting. It's got to be. It can't just be, oh, we're not bringing in new hunters, or oh, we're lacking in something, and a lot of it is other problems. There's a lot of things coming into it. Access is a huge problem, and I'm going to dive deep into that into my video on Cane Stream. Access is a huge problem. Culture is a problem. Um, there are a myriad of reasons. I think there is one major one, at least in the Midwest. I'll dive into that soon, and it is a hunting sport. You guys are going to guess it's deer hunting. It's deer hunting. And not just, we hunt on outfitters. Man, we spend a lot of time on outfitters. I finished up in a farm last night that's leased to a couple guys from West Virginia that have leased it for years, and almost a decade probably. And I've hunted it forever. They don't mind. I'm not in there when they're in there. They kill monster bucks off of it every year. They never have any trouble killing a mature whitetail. Most of their deer are 160 to 180. They're getting 2 or 3 a year out of that farm. It's got dogs on it 3 or 4 to 5 nights a week, unless they're actually there at the place. And so we have a good relationship with a lot of deer hunters, a very good relationship. But that is not the case everywhere. And so access is a giant problem. And what has caused the access problem is whitetail deer hunting and the need for every whitetail deer hunter to do what they see on Michael Waddell's show, or whoever's hot now. I don't know who's hot. I don't know who big deer hunters are. Only hunting show I'll watch some Meat Eater every now and then. I like the way it's done. Even then, I'm just some of that stuff. I'm like, come on, bro. Let's get real. And Ranella, I've never met him. I did send him a squaller one time when I was building squallers. He wore it in Clay Newcomb's coon hunting episode, I think. Um, I'm sure they're great guys. I've talked to Clay. I've talked to Brent several times. I don't think I've talked to Giannis or Ranella, but surely good guys. But man, they're butt hooked now. They got to eat everything they kill. They're over there cooking up coyotes and crap. So they found a niche, but now their niche is, they are called Meat Eater, and a lot of the stuff they cook looks really delicious. But man, I ain't eating no coyote. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So hunter numbers are dropping. Most of it's access. A lot of it's access due to the whitetail frenzy that everybody's in right now. Some of it is due to loss of hunting ground due to urbanization. We all see it. I don't see it here. I see it when I travel. Um, we're not having any. There's no new subdivisions coming up where I live. I don't have to worry about that. That is not going to be a problem. What we also have is Missouri's great about having huge tracts of public ground. Um, we're also good in my area, excuse me, in my area about having large tracts of private ground. Because we need large chunks. We need large pieces of private ground to turn these dogs loose. They're wild, they're crazy. I turned loose on one landowner last night. I had permission all night last night. There's another common misbelief that we always just go where we want and it's dark and we trespass around. I'm going to talk about that too in the upcoming video, especially with the new trapping legislation. Trappers are all up in arms. Just keep your dogs where they belong. Yada, yada, yada. Well, there's already laws in place for that. We can still get in trouble. We just don't have to lose the dog. But anyway, um, access is a problem. All right. Now, when we're talking 1980 to 19 or to today, 2025, you're talking 45 years where private land access has just went crazy. Okay. I had guys stop me in my yard the other day while I'm mowing, want to deer hunt. And so, it happens. And that never used to happen. Not just wanting to deer hunt, wanting to lease it, wanting to lease stuff around my house. That's a common occurrence now. If you're on onX and hey, I use onX all the time, but onX has gotten it to where, man, these guys will go search for tracts where they want to hunt and they will start dialing those guys up and they'll lease this property up and it can be anywhere from 15 acres to 5,000 acres. And right here in my county, we've had really good luck. Guys have not sold giant family farms. They've kept it all in the family. They've been really good. I'm gonna name drop here, but well, I better not name drop. But there's a family, west of me that we've hunted on since I was a little kid, and they own thousands of acres. And it's a family farm, and they've kept it that way, through the generations. And we're blessed to have that. I have access to a plenty of ground, but not everybody has that. When I get east of the Mississippi and I go to North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky's getting terrible. I mean, when you get around Strickland's house and stuff, there's 1 acre being sold here for ungodly amounts of money just so they can say they have a house in the country next to the other 45 people that bought 2 acres next to them that say they want to say they have a house in the country, but they have a neighbor that they can hit with a rock. And we've all seen it. Subdivisions, development, houses and I don't blame these people. I don't blame them from wanting to get out of a St. Louis and go to the Ozarks and find 2 or 3 acres there with nobody around and have their little piece of paradise. I would want to too if I was born there and raised there. I would want to get out into the hills and the woods. But there's a culture shift there where these people coming from an urban environment, suburban environment, out to a rural environment that have completely different ideals than we do, completely different ideas of what's right and what's wrong than we do, and that's a fact. I mean, that's a fact. Just look how they treat their dogs. I treat my dogs great. They have the best vet work, best feed, clean kennels, exercised every day. But man, I ain't putting no hat on them, calling them my fur baby and giving them a birthday cake. It's a different thing. And so, yes, urban sprawl and the need for people that want to get away from that sprawl and get out into the country is a problem. And it's caused an access problem. And like I said, access, I think, is the biggest detriment to the decline in hunter numbers. I know out in Ohio, you hear Engel and Maynard and all them talking about the solar farms. They're putting those up. Wind farms are crazy too, but they're not usually in places that we coon hunt. So yeah, there are a lot of things that are affecting the amount of hunters. Now, there has been a little resurgence in small game numbers. And a lot of that is due to people wanting to eat healthier. People wanting to go shoot a squirrel with a 22 and eat it instead of getting some kind of processed food, at a fast food restaurant or something like that. That's a thing now. And I'm all for that. Go ahead, man. Cool. You want to be healthy, live off wild game? I love it. And so there has been a resurgence there, but it's not going to last. That is I feel like that's a bubble that will probably burst. Maybe not. Maybe not. And so I say all this to come to this point. Coon hunting with hounds is not a dying sport. It is flourishing in certain areas. The competition aspect is flourishing. The publicity aspect is flourishing. But what is dying is that pleasure hunter down the road that does it for the love of the hound and the love of the sport, but he's not gonna just break his neck and back and move and do all the things that he don't love it enough to change his absolute lifestyle and where he's from. All right, if I live in West Virginia and in 1988 when I started coon hunting, well, let's use South Carolina, North Carolina for instance. My gosh, there's houses going up there like crazy. If I'm in North Carolina in 1992 and I'm 12 years old and I'm coon hunting like crazy and there's plenty of land and I love where I'm at, I love my family's there. I turn 18, 19, 20. I go to college. I come back. I get a good job. I start a family. My kids are in school. And all this encroachment comes in. We get a deer hunter behind the house that bottled Joe's farm. That 80 acres right there that we used to turn loose on behind the house, and now he don't want any dogs on it because he's afraid it might, scare his ditch goat. There's a new subdivision because I'm only 45 minutes outside of town, which is great. I love that drive to work and seeing the country, but now town is at my door. And yeah, I love hunting, but it's not my completely identity. They're not like me. Coon hunting is my identity next to being a Christian and a father and all that stuff. And, you know, they don't make their living at it. They're not going to move lock, stock, and barrel just to keep doing it. So what do? They quit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a problem. That is a problem. All right. That is why I think a vast majority of people do quit this sport for the long term. Yeah, we all go through phases. I get a divorce a few years ago. By the time, I had to take about a year off when I was working on the road. There for 15 years, I always kept a hound in the house. I always hunted when I could get home, but I could not keep a bunch. I was working too much. I was traveling too much. And so I could not just hunt like I wanted to hunt. But to quit for good, to end a sport, and to quit doing what you love, and to not hunt anymore is, to me, not as uncommon as people think. And the reason for it, I think, is because when it becomes too much hassle and you don't love it so much that it is what you live and breathe, and most people are like that, you're going to quit. And I don't blame you. I'm not moving my kids halfway across the country just to get away from urban sprawl and to better coon hunting. Well, I might. I actually might. I don't need to, thank goodness. But most folks won't. And I can't blame them. Now, is there a remedy for that? I don't know. That is beyond my area of expertise. Maybe all of this is, I'm not sure. But it's something to be mindful of. And so if you go to Cane Stream Media's Facebook page, I put a post on there that, why do you think people quit coon hunting? And I'm curious. I've got my own ideas. I've expressed them to some of you today, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. So get on there, post that. You can always email me, Josh at joydogfood or Josh at canestream.com. And we are doing a deep dive into the effect of whitetail madness on not only raccoon hunting with hounds, but all hunting and shooting sports and rural lifestyle. We're working on that video right now. It's a pet project. It's going to make some people mad, including coon hunters. We have to do better too. We all have to do better. Changing times, we all have to evolve or we die. It is what it is. And so, but mostly it's going to make deer hunters mad. Which, hey, I'm from a family of deer hunters. I used to love it. It's all around me. We have great relationships with all the outfitters here, like I've mentioned before, and a lot of guys that let me coon hunt on their farm that's managed for deer. And we're going to talk about that. So keep that in mind. Check out Canestream Media's YouTube channel. That video will be coming up here before long. We've also got EHS hunt coming up on Thursday night. First women's EHS event, Christine Fields and Nova Klein. So look out for that as well. That'll be members only Thursday night. And you guys check that out. Hope you enjoy it. I know I enjoyed filming it. So you guys have fun. Working Dog Wednesday got a good one for you tomorrow. Me, Wade, and BJ sit down and break some huge news. And I think you guys are going to like that as well. So till then, we'll see you at the next one.